critical, non-critical, soft, hard. It's not on the uh, 14 point. It's not on the schedule. So which one are you referring to?
Yes.
This ribbon
Okay.
analysis.
Okay, perfect. That's a great question. So, Rajesh, something that I want to highlight in today's session, there are so many out of the box metrics, right? We,
Yeah.
as project controls or project management professional, we are in the best place to decide for our projects, our programs, our organizations, what are the trends that really make sense to us when it comes to assessing different things. So what you see on your screen is a selection of different out-of-the-box metrics from Acumen that I have defined them as my key metrics for assessing delays. So I have
Okay.
combined different out-of-the-box metrics. It's going to take 2 or 3 minutes for somebody to select these metrics. They
Mhm.
put them together in a playlist, and now I know that on a monthly basis, if I want to assess delays or whether my project runs into delays, I'm going to go through these fuse analysis against these metrics.
Okay.
So these different metrics is a selection, pick and choose, you know, different out of the box metrics.
The blue box.
Yes. So I have selected different metrics. Some of them I have slightly adjusted what I want to include or exclude from these metrics. But the summary here is that anybody that goes through this analysis can define what are the metrics that really mean something to them on a monthly basis, and they should be part of the reporting cycle, if you like. When we go into the tool, I will show which metrics are these and how I created this playlist.
Okay.
So I can see a red flag here. This red flag hasn't been evident in the previous updates. However, there's another key metrics not on schedule that says I have 7, 11, and 19 activities, respectively, that have not been on schedule. So probably I need to look better what is happening in these different updates. So if I
Even
go,
sorry to interrupt. When you say
Mhm.
not on schedule means these are the new activities added when on each updates.
No, let me quickly show you. Or in fact, I can even go into the metrics and we can quickly go through my key metrics. So not on schedule is just the number of activities that did not start at their baseline start date. And it's not
Okay.
only in progress, but it's also completed activities. Because sometimes I want to include both in case the cutoff dates and when this activity finished are not, 100% in line. So I want to complete both in progress and complete activities. If
Mhm.
we look at other type of metrics, um, started, delayed, and they're still in progress, this only includes in progress activities.
Mm.
Okay,
Okay.
so there is a wide selection of metrics that after you become more experienced in the use of these metrics, you can define which ones are the important for you and for your own analysis. What you
Yeah.
see here under my key metrics, it might be very, very different to what you feel are the important metrics for your analysis on a
Yeah.
monthly
Exactly.
basis, right?
Agree.
The point here is, and forget about this because you get all the metrics. You have the power to explore all of the out of the box metrics, okay, and pick and choose which ones really make sense to you. Not only that, you can apply some basic filtering. And in fact, what happened last week, and I was really glad that we went through that discussion, one of the participants in our mid-list workshop used these out of the box metrics right after the workshop. And also they asked me how I can apply filters that exclude specific work packages or WBS elements. So they
Uh-huh.
wanted to run these metrics, not only from a selection perspective, but also they wanted to add additional filters that was excluding or including specific type of activities.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just click fuse. Yeah, so that's the one activity. All right.
Mm.
And let me go back to the presentation, and we will go to the tool. I mean, we can skip the presentation, but there are some key points that I want to go through first before we go into
Okay.
the tool.
Mm.
So we identified that something is going wrong in month 9. So the question is why the delay only emerged in my 9-month update. So the question is what happened in the previous month. In the previous month, I can see that I have 11 activities that fall under this metric, which says not on schedule. And if I go and fuse and focus only on month 8 and slice and dice the information by critical and non-critical activities, I can see that these not on schedule activities were not part of the critical path. So what happened there is that if I was focusing only on the critical activities, I missed the point that there were some non-critical activities that were getting very, very close to near critical. And eventually what they did, they pushed the delayed activity that was also originally non-critical into the critical path. And these non-critical delays cause the domino effect that now affects my critical path.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what we see here. If I click on the box with this metric, I can see that this is the delayed activity that is still in progress. And if I trace backwards using the logic tab in Acumen, I can see these non-critical activities that in the previous months were getting delayed. Okay, I can see here baseline finish, actual finish. I can see the comparison. So I can see that some of them were delayed by 10 days, but they were not flagged up because they were not part of my critical path. But
Yeah.
eventually something happened here in month 9, and they pushed activity 19 into the critical path. I can see also negative float. So probably this activity now has a constraint. And now I can start putting together a story, a narrative of what really happened.
Mm.
Another way to help me with this narrative is focusing on the trends. So I want to ask myself or my team, were there any early signs? What are the key trends in our project? So if I use this selection of metrics to create a trend line or bar charts that help me to identify key trends, I will see that in the first 2 months, 3 months, I didn't have a lot of delays. So the average days late for completed activities only was pretty low. In fact, I have 3 months that none of these activities that finished were completed during these 3 months were delayed. However, after month 6, I can see that this number, this metric, getting higher and higher. There's a small reduction in month 8, but the metric jumps pretty high in month 9. So either using bar charts or trend lines, I can really help my team communicate potential problematic areas in my project.
Good.
Another way, obviously, to analyze what has changed and ask very valuable questions, especially for planners. They have a key role, and we want to highlight that whoever is analyzing the schedule holds a tremendous amount of information in their hand. So if they do the right analysis, for example, by just selecting the new activities that have been inserted in the schedule, they can go to the project controls manager, to the project manager, or to the weekly or monthly team meeting and highlight that there's a new activity, and they can start identifying the root cause for this new addition. Who has approved this new scope? Why this activity has not been sorry, this change has not been communicated to the team in advance. Have we gone through a change control process? The same is with float. How is my float trending? Do I have enough float for the future? Is my schedule flexible enough to absorb further delays in the future? So forensics is another way to analyze the information within few seconds.
Sorry, Ivan, when you say forensic, how can you have a forecast?
Uh, Forecast, what do you mean forecast?
You were telling about the forecast, uh, uh, critical activities in the forecast, critical floats, float for the forecast. So how
Yes,
can you
so
have a,
mhm,
this is all forensic, going back, retrospective.
correct.
So if we want to have some forecast on the float or is there a mechanism like that?
No, there's no, okay, so few things. The metrics will not show you a forecast on your float, okay? Let's be clear on that.
Yeah,
However, what's my point here is that if, let me bring in the, sorry, let me focus on month, sorry, on the trend analysis, for example, and let's focus on more than 30 days floats. Sorry, let me fuse charts, and then I'm gonna show the legend. So let's focus on, okay, let's focus on critical activity. So what is happening here is that I can see that from month 0 to month 6, the number of critical activities start getting reduced. That if I see also this in line with the activities that are getting complete, I can see that I have 9 activities completed in month 6, okay?
yeah,
So I can assume that part of these completed activities were critical activities. That's why the number of critical
yes,
activities is reducing. The same applies for month 8. However, I see a huge jump in month 9. Now, if I look this trend line in line with my negative float, I can see that the number of activities with negative float is increasing as well. So if I don't have float, or in fact, if I have negative float, this is an indication for the future. Also, if I add additional categories of float, for example, I have here one which is extreme, more than 30 days of float, and I can see I only have few activities with more than 30 days of float. However, if I'm in a program with 5 years of duration and I have only 2 activities with float more than 30 days, that might be a big sign that I don't have enough flexibility in my schedule in the future. So it's not that Acumen will give you the forecast, but the human who analyzes or who selects to have certain key metrics in their analysis, they can put together a narrative of what can potentially happen in the future. So if I see this number of activities with higher float, that can be more than 45 days in your case, or more than 15 days in your case, starting from 15 activities or 20 activities. And in my first 3 months, this number from 30 has gone down to 15 on a 5-year program. How, how somebody can justify that 50% of my activities with negative float in the first 3 months have been reduced, by 50%. This doesn't make sense.
mhm,
So in general, what we see here is the way we analyze the data and the use of trend lines help us indicate some trends that are not healthy for our projects.
yeah,
Now, if you want to go into the area of letting Acumen give you an indication for the forecast, this is another discussion. I will not elaborate a lot on that. I'm not sure if are you Acumen Fuse sorry, are you Acumen Risk user?
yeah,
Yes. So in that case, you can you can allow uh, Acumen give you an indication for the future. for forecasting purposes using the risk advisor. So the risk advisor can help you reforecast or rebaseline your projects by suggesting different uncertainty ranges. The same
Mhm.
applies for Fuse users when they're using the calibration. So the schedule realism advisor, it will ask me to create a scenario. Let me just click yes. But if you want to use Acumen's advice for reforecasting, you can use the schedule realism advisor. You can select a metric or historical performance, and Acumen will give you a suggestion on how you will perform in the future based on your performance in the past. Obviously, this is not deterministic. This is a suggestion. There's a calculation based on your performance against the baseline. But again, this can be a basic reforecasting exercise or a benchmark scenario for you
Okay.
to assess how your team then reforecasts the schedule. So you can use this suggestion for comparison purposes.
Fine.
Um, so let's look quickly. Uh, okay, so we have identified this one activity that has started delayed and is still in progress. Let me create some more space here. Okay, so somebody again that wants to put together a narrative of what happened and what has caused that delay uh, can do few things. So first of all, they can see what were the activities that didn't start at their baseline start date. They can click on this number, they will get these activities. Now, there are different ways to present this data. They can use the Gantt chart, first of all, to see if these driving activities are critical or non-critical, and we can see that most of them are non-critical. Also, if they want to start developing a case of who is responsible or what area in their program is causing these delays, they can use the heat map. Let me include all the activities in the heat map and let me group these activities by work package. So I'm gonna select the work package. So now if I click on the heat map, I can see these 18 activities that did not start at their baseline date grouped by work package. And I can see that surveys, whoever is doing these surveys, they have not done a great job because these activities did not start at their baseline date. There might be a reason for that, but as a first indication, I can see which work packages have the most amount of delays. And I can see also that the mechanical and electrical design package has also this critical activity that has been flagged up as delayed and is still in progress. This is just another way to export information from your analysis and paste it in a report or share it in a big screen during your weekly or monthly meeting with a team and talk about these areas that are causing a problem on your project. Okay. Now, if we want to go one step back and see what happened in the previous month, I will just double click on month 8. And now the whole fuse analysis is around month 8. I can also do another, I can go one level deeper and select whether I want to see the information by critical or non-critical type of activity. So I can select here any type of grouping. So let me find critical and non-critical. So criticality, it might be in the outputs. So yeah, it's critical, it's selected. So now I can see the fuse analysis grouped by non-critical and critical activities. And as we said during the presentation, these 11 activities were not on schedule. Sorry, that were not on schedule. They were all non-critical. So if we're only focusing on critical activities, we will lose visibility of what is happening below our feet and potentially will emerge or explode at some point. So this is just another way to present the information. Now, as we said, if we go into the logic, we know that activity 19 is the one that is in progress and has been delayed. So we can do a logic trace against that activity. And depending on what we have selected, we trace backward in that case, and we have selected to see only the driving logic. So now I can see what are the driving forces behind that activity. Okay,
Yeah.
just another way to understand what is happening on your project. Rajesh, are you using any of these type of features in Acumen or in another tool? Do you trace logic? Do you put together a narrative on a monthly basis?
Uh, no, we mostly rely on the Primavera for all the schedule related stuff. And
On the Primavera, okay.
for Acumen, we recently bought the license, and we are a new user actually.
Okay, all right. So yes, just something to keep in mind. Obviously, you can trace both backward and forward. So if I select that, now we'll see all the driving elements that are going through this specific activity. So I can see what are the consequent activities that activity 19 is influencing. Something that it might be of good use for you is if you want to check whether there's any link between activity 22 and activity 39, keep in mind that you have the option to trace path. So you can select one activity as the path start and then another activity as the part finish. And Acumen will determine whether there's these activities basically are driving each other. If I
Okay.
select all of them, I just want to test just to show you. If I select this one as, I'm gonna set it as trace start, and then I'm gonna select this one as the path finish. Oops, I don't know, probably there wasn't one. Let me select this one. Oh, okay, I see why I haven't selected the trace path. So let's select this one, path start, and this one as path finish. And now I can see what is the path between these two specific activities. So there is a path between the two of them. Okay, so again, you can test the logic and what are the driving activities in your schedule. So with that, let me go quickly into forensics. You said you are aware of the forensics tab, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
On Acumen.
On Acumen, yes.
Um, just know that there is forensic. I have not worked much on it.
Ah, okay. Okay. So in this tab, basically, what Acumen will do, depending on the way you have imported your schedules. In my case, because the parent in the base is the baseline, and all these consequent updates are the children. The comparison, the default comparison, will be baseline versus the further updates. So I can see, for example, that I have two activities that were added. They were not part of the update in month 0 or the baseline in month 6. But also if I want to see activities that have been parts of the longest path or the critical path, again, I can see these activities that were part of the critical path in the baseline. Some of them, because maybe they were completed, they're not part of the critical path later on, but I can see all these activities which have the green tick mark that are part of the critical path in month 9, but they were not part of this critical path in the baseline.
Okay.
Obviously, if I look at the total float, I can see that there are 39 activities with a different total float compared to the baseline. And I can see in month 9 that these activities here have negative float. So probably most of these activities, I mean, all of these activities should be part now of the critical path. Something to keep in mind, for example, if you're focusing on, let's say, start dates, and you want to generate a report that is only focusing on specific areas in your project, you can use the group panel. And then if you want to focus on specific activity types, you click, drag and drop, and now you can focus only on milestones. Okay, because some people do not want to focus on level of effort activities, for example.
Yeah.
Another way to do that is if you want to, again, group activities by another element, such as WBS coding, you can do so. Again, click, drag and drop, and then you can focus on the milestones under the main works or under surveys. And we can see that there has been an increase in the start
This
dates.
WBS segregation would be helpful in not in milestone, on the activities, on the
Correct,
normal activities.
correct.
Yeah, there it will be very much helpful.
Sure. What we had in one of the projects I worked, all the completions milestones were grouped under completions as a separate WBS element.
Yeah.
So we could easily run a report only against that specific WBS element, which included all the completion milestones. So you're absolutely right. Different ways to present different data. I can see, for example, what's happening under surveys in that case. But the key point here is that you can easily group the information whatever way you prefer to do so. Needless to say, you can export all the information in Excel at any point. And you can share these files with your team and customers and contractors. We went through the trend analysis, so I don't know if you want me to elaborate more on the trend analysis. Something that I didn't show you earlier is if I reset that, not only you can do trend analysis on a high level and by focusing on all the updates of your schedule, but if you want to focus on a specific update, let's say in month 9, you double click. Now the whole fuse analysis is around month 9. What you can do is you can change the time phase data, and you can focus on a specific year. Let's focus on 2020. So I'm going to focus until the end of this year. I'm going to change the interval to months. Let me create some more space. And I'm going to fuse. So now if I want to see what were the trends that have been evolving in my project by focusing only on this update, I can do so by using the chart. Let me unselect these two. I'm gonna bring also the legend, and I want to use bar charts. So now I can see on a monthly basis the number of critical activities, but some other key trends might be the average days late for completed activities. So I can see when the problems started accumulating. So because of probably some underlying delays, suddenly in month 7, I can see the first signs of delay that continue until my current month, which is month 9. You can bring negative load there, so you can see also the number of activities with negative load per month. So again, you can conduct trend analysis not on a high level, not only in a high level perspective, but also from an individual update perspective, and you can see things on a monthly basis. One additional
Here
benefit,
in this case,
sorry,
sorry, Ivan. Here in this case, you didn't go to the tab trend analysis, right?
correct. So what I did, let me untick this. So now I can see the information in a tabular form, which is very busy because obviously it's by month. But if you just click on the phases on the chart button here, then you see
Yeah.
this information presented graphically. Again, depending on what you are looking at, you might choose to use a trend line. So you can see that I don't have any days with more than 30 days float, obviously because I have negative float, which makes sense. And again, you choose what you want to see and how you want to see that information. When I'm using this type of analysis, I prefer the columns. And if I want to focus, for example, the not on schedule activities, and also have a view of the list of these activities, I can click on the box here and then get also the list. Obviously, as we discussed, I can use the heat map. And now what I can do, I can copy what I see on my screen on the clipboard, and within few seconds, I can paste this information on my monthly report and start writing my narrative around my analysis. So that's another way to conduct the trend analysis without using the dedicated button here. Another way you can do the same on the ribbon. But again, if you do so, I would suggest you use all the updates. So let me just show you another trick. If you are focusing on all the updates, you can use the charts, and now you can see the number of critical activities per month, per update, without selecting the trend analysis. What is very important here, if I click, it's interactive, and I get the list of activities. So in the trend analysis, you get more space for the graph, but then you lose the extra layer of information. So depending on who is your audience and who is conducting the analysis, if it's the planner, they can use this view. If you are presenting your screen in a room full of people that do not want to go into the details, but they want to see the general trends developing in your project, you click on trend analysis and you are focusing at a higher level. These are things that even experienced users do not know. These are some small tricks.
Yeah.
So we have covered the trends, and Rajesh, do you have any other questions? Because we're getting close to the finish line.
No, actually, I'm really amused by the fact that the depth it goes from an analysis perspective.
Yes. You say amused, I say excited, right?
Excited.
Yes, yes, yes. No, it's impressive, and I have to admit, when I joined Deltec, I mean, this is out of the script, but I was thinking, my God, I spent all these hours and hours when I was a planner analyzing information between P6 and Excel, and if we had Acumen on the project, we would have done the same work in a more meaningful way. In 1/5 of the time, maybe in
Yeah.
less time than that. So yeah, it's quite exciting. Let me jump into the presentation. Okay, the third part is if you have to create schedules later on just to analyze claims, it will be a lot of work. So you're gonna need as-built data, or in general continuous history of events. Can be daily, can be weekly, uh, maintained by different people on the project. So you might need contractors, daily reports, you might need owners or customers, inspection reports, progress reports. So it will be very, very difficult if you don't have regular updates of your schedule to recreate these as-built schedules. So our suggestion here, and what the different organizations suggest, is that between the different parties in a program, you need to have regular updates that have been reviewed and approved on a regular basis. If there are any schedules there that are not getting reviewed and they're not, let's say, in acceptance from all the parties, then issues pile up, and then you have to use different sources to replicate what happened 1 or 2 years before. So as a suggestion, we say use the tools you have in your hands, not only to update the schedules, but also to review and accept these schedules, because later on it can be very costly, both in terms of time and money, to replicate that history and then agree on what happened in the past. In fact, I've been on projects that we were receiving updates as a customer, but we were not accepting the schedules. Schedules were piling up, and then we had to resolve claims in a very difficult way. And I left that project after 2 years being on the team, and I don't think that they had resolved these issues. What they chose to do, they said at the end of the project, we're gonna resolve these issues as a whole package.
Yeah, in this part of the world, routine updates are happening. That updates
Yes.
are it's mandatory. So that's happening.
And do you review and accept these updates, or there might be the case where you review, you receive something, but you don't accept it and you send it back? And the
No,
same
in my
can.
case, I'm in the contractor side, so we used to submit to the client. So
Perfect.
I'm not in the client side. I'm in the contractor side.
Okay. Okay. So I guess your customers review the schedules and they send you feedback, but the
They
resolution
come.
of this feedback and comments is quite quick.
They come down. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. And finally, different ways to communicate the results of your analysis. Keep in mind you have a dashboard capability in Acumen. Try it, play with it. I'm more than happy to help you with that, but it's a very useful way to present the data from your analysis. Obviously, you have a great automatic report, the executive briefing report, both in Fuse and Risk. So depending on the metrics you are focusing on, you can produce within few seconds and start a standardized report on a regular basis. And just to summarize what we covered today, and what we see as best practice. First of all is understand your schedules better and deeper. X-ray your schedules. You know, you have out of the box metrics dedicated to assessing delays. Choose these metrics, and assess your schedules periodically, and have a better understanding of what is happening on the project. The second thing is best practice. What we try to cover today are in line with industry best practice, so the checks and comparison capabilities of Acumen will help you to comply with industry best practice. And finally, automation. Obtain visibility and generate reports within few seconds. Let's use the tools we have in our hands and save some time for meaningful discussions instead of spending hours and hours in analyzing and in front of different files, Excel and different tools. Let's spend time on discussing about creative ways to resolving issues and get a better feeling where we will end up in the future. And so with that, I would like to thank you, Rajesh, for your time. I hope that was something that you can use on your project and something that was interesting to you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Ivan. Thanks, Ivan. And thank you, Simon, for this session exclusively to discuss this plain part. It was really interesting and an eye-opener for me, the strength of the tool in terms of its capability of the analysis part.
Thanks, Rajesh. You're breaking up a
Simon?
bit. Your line is not great. So thank you again. I will send you a copy of the recording so you can try some of these things for yourself. And as Evan said, you know, dashboarding, reporting, anything you feel you need help with, or you know, as you're using Acumen more on your project, if it would help to be able to present, you know, you mentioned being able to present this information remotely. If using dashboards is an easier way to convey some of that information, then you know, let's set up a session with you, me, and Evan, and we can take you through that in more detail. We're always here to support you, so just reach out to us as and when you need anything further.
That's great. That's great, Simon. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Of course. Yeah, let us know if you need any help. Have a great day. And we will speak soon, I'm sure.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks very much, Rajesh.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.